Hello, everybody. Rod Baker with God and Rod, and I'm gonna do some little bit of fishing while I talk. So, Father, bless this lure. So, today is a rebirth day. It's a rebirth day, is what I found for me. It's a day when the dead buries the dead, and I have been reborn to a higher level, to a higher understanding. You know, one of the beautiful things that I learned in Alcoholics Anonymous was the serenity prayer. God grant me the serenity to accept the things I cannot change, the courage to change the things I can, and the wisdom to know the difference. And I must have said that prayer 1,000 times, especially when I first got clean and sober. Because I was one of those people who tried to change everything, you know, to make it match up to my way of thinking, make it match up to my will. And so, and if it didn't, then usually I lost the courage to continue the pursuit. If it didn't look like it was going to, you know, work out the way I wanted it to work out, then, you know, I'd leave it behind. Now, there are some things that I think need to be left behind. There's no doubt about that. But, you know, when it comes to understanding where my will and God's will align, well, that's taken a lot of practice. It's taken a lot of faith. And so I find myself now today being aligned with God's will in all that I do. I realize what the principles of God are. I realize what the eternal values of God is. You know, I see where there's faith and there's hope and there's love, and then I see where there's not. And I was talking to my dad today about sometimes the very best thing that we can do for somebody is to get out of the way and let God deal with them as He sees fit. Instead of us trying to bang our head up against the wall, trying to make them listen, trying to make them understand. You know, I can explain it all day long, but I can't make you understand it. That's something very important. That was a lesson that I had to learn just, you know, a year ago, a little over a year ago. That there are some people who are just not going to understand. There's some people who are just not going to concede to the idea of living by faith. And I can't be a part of that because I'm a man who lives by faith, not by sight. I know what's coming. I know by the way that I live what I will receive. I'm no sucker. Nobody's, you know, I'm no victim. Nobody's taking advantage of me. Anything that anybody's ever gotten from me, it was given. It was given. And the amazing thing about it is, if it wasn't given, if they stole from me, then God replenished me with better, with more. And so, you know, knowing that I have that backup. See, I don't need a backup plan because I have backup. What do you need a backup plan for when you got backup? We are to make our plans, and then God will guide our steps. Now, if you don't know how to allow God to guide your steps, that's a process. And that's a process I can teach you. Keep watching the videos. Go back and start reviewing the videos. Friend me on Facebook. Be a subscriber. Like and share. And I'll teach you. It's what I'm here for. I'm here to teach you. But you got to want to learn. And that takes willingness, and not everybody's willing. Not everybody's willing to take accountability for what has happened in their past. They're not willing to take accountability for what's going to happen in the future. And I think that's the first thing to humility. I think that's the first thing to understanding that there's a higher purpose than just what you want, what your will is. So a lot of people end up frustrated, and they end up addicted to gambling, addicted to sex, addicted to always having somebody around, addicted to drugs, addicted to alcohol. The addictions go on. I mean, they can be anything. But when you can sit out here and fish and talk to people about healing, then there is no better thing than that. See, because you're giving back to the world. You know, Muhammad Ali said one time that being of service to others is our way of paying rent for what God has given us here on earth. It's my way of paying back. Now, if you don't want to, you don't have to. You don't have to pay back. You can keep being selfish. You can live a selfish life. But I promise you, you will not enjoy your life, especially in the latter years. You can get away with it for a while, but eventually, you got to pay. And you will. It's either with health, with finances, with family. You know, can you imagine having a family and none of them talk to you, none of them want to talk to you, and when they do, they always want something? They're always creeping on you. Imagine you being wealthy. I know a wealthy man down in Texas. And he's wealthy because he worked hard. Those were the principles that he lived by, is working hard will pay. And he received some inheritance from his family and things like that. But his entire family, his kids and stepkids and nieces, nephews, all of them are waiting for him to die. All of them, when they talk to him, they want something from him. And it ain't love they want from him. They don't. They don't even know what love is. They want what he's worked for. That's the blessings or the reaping that they want. You know, the sad part about it is he's a great guy. When you get to know him, his principles that he lives by, though misplaced, you know, and he didn't really have the best teaching and raising, but he's done the best he could. Been a hard worker. But the thing about it is that he really is a great guy, and his kids will never know that about him. They'll always think, and his ex-wife, they'll always think of him as some sort of tyrant. And he's not. He's really not. Especially now that he's old and frail. But today is my rebirth day. For I've been born again. And I remember one of those days being when I got clean and sober, a rebirth day. It was such a, man, I was so afraid of so many things, and I took those things out in anger. You know, anytime I was afraid, that's my first instinct was to be angry, to bring on conflict. If you find yourself angry, look at the root of that. For the root of that is fear. Go to the root. From the root to the fruit. Because the things that you'll find is because of your fear, your fruit ends up being something you really don't want. So if you plant a mulberry tree, you're going to get mulberries. So if you plant seeds of fruit or seeds of fear, then you're going to end up with issues. And most of them codependency issues, because you're afraid to set boundaries. You're afraid to tell people no. You'd rather hide out from them. You'd rather never talk to them again. It's just the way it is. Until you learn different, until you're willing to do different, until you're willing to take accountability for your actions. That's where you'll stay. And that's hell. So happy rebirth day to me. Good day.